All right, very welcome everybody. Today's practice on a great topic. Today's topic is surrender, because we had a community call just before this, and this topic of surrender came up. So I thought it'll be nice to explore it. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's get comfortable, or as comfortable as we will allow ourselves to get, because some of us don't like ourselves. So you can't allow yourself to get too comfortable. So go ahead and get as comfortable as you will let yourself get comfortable. And we're starting in about a minute. All right, so surrender. This idea of surrender is the sense that align yourself with, open yourself to the possibility that just because things aren't going the way you want or you like, or the speed at which you would like or want, does not automatically mean that it's necessarily a bad thing. Could you be open to the possibility that even what you think is bad and wrong about yourself, about the world, about anyone or anything, could you be open to the possibility that there is one or more perspectives, points of view, from which it's not bad? I mean, even the most horrific criminal, when they're put in jail, there's someone who feels sad. There's someone who misses them. So could you be open to the possibility that things are happening the way they're happening, and just because you don't always like it or understand it, it's not necessarily the wrong thing or a bad thing? So let's explore the concept, the idea of surrender from many different perspectives today. Let this be a practice session, not a philosophy session. So let this land in your experience and not in your head. I'm not trying to give you more concepts. I'm actually trying to unburden you of concepts. And sometimes it takes a thorn to pull out a thorn. So yeah. So why don't we start from the deepest place first? You don't have to build up to the deepest place. We can just go straight to the deepest place. You don't have to beat around the bush. So the deepest place is, can you surrender your inability to surrender? Can you surrender to your present understanding of surrender, your present capacity to surrender? Some of you actually don't even like this word surrender so much because it almost sounds like you give up. So can you surrender your assumptions, presumptions, judgments around the word surrender? Would you be willing to hold that lightly? The opposite of surrender would be this idea of controlling, wanting to control everything, yourself and others and the whole world, and basically wanting to be God, controlling everyone and everything. But what's amazing about that is, if you were to really check, did I choose? At what point did I choose to be the controller? if you look at it very carefully, I mean, somehow this controlling idea came along, this controlling habit came along. Did you really choose it? If you didn't choose it, why are you trying to control it? You're trying to control, because somewhere you read something spiritual and you realize, oh, controlling is bad. So now you want to control your tendency to control. You want to control your tendency to control. You want to not control. So if you did not order this attitude or this tendency or this proclivity to control, then can you surrender to the fact that somehow it's come by itself? Like right now you're seeing something, right? Maybe you're seeing a laptop screen or your eyes are closed, doesn't matter. Even with eyes closed, you still see certain things. It's not completely dark usually. So are you deciding every single thing that's in your visual field? Are you deciding single thing that's in your auditory field? Are you deciding everything that's there in your olfactory or smelling field? Are you really deciding everything at the level of taste, at the level of touch? So is that your idea of how to go through life? I mean, I cannot think of a more tiring way to go through life. Everything I see should line up. Everything I hear should line up. Everything I smell, taste, touch should line up. I mean, talk about micromanaging. Is this your idea of a good life? Let's micromanage into infinity. How tiresome. A lot of people admire Warren Buffett. And one of his qualities is so first of all, he owns shares in a lot of companies, and he's often the controlling shareholder. So he has these single meetings with the head of the organization. And he has one meeting with them a year, apparently. He sits with them with a notepad and a pen. I think it's a pencil or a pen. And he just chalks out 3 points. 3 points he wants them to keep in mind for the coming year for this particular company. And that's it. He said, yeah, I've given you these 3 points, work on this. What a cool way to live. He meets the head of an entire company, gives them 3 to 5 points, and yeah, look into this for the coming year. And he's done. Wow. What fun. There's definitely something to say about that. Such a deep level of trust. And we usually rise to the level, and to the level that people trust us, we rise to that. So when people see it in you, they evoke it in you. So I'm surrendering to whatever wants to come through in this surrender meditation or surrender practice. I'm not planning this. I'm not sure it'll help you. I'm not sure it'll make surrender easier. I'm not sure it'll answer your questions around surrender. But I'm surrendering to it. And would you allow yourself, whether or not you like the topic of surrender, resonate with the topic of surrender, are interested in the topic of surrender, find it easy or difficult, would you be willing to, surrender? For me, an easier word is trust. I actually use that word a lot more than surrender. For me, trust comes like a better word. And someone was making this distinction, which I found quite fascinating. The distinction between, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was faith confidence, and trust. Faith is in the unknown, which is why it's blind. Faith is blind. So faith is in the unknown, and confidence is in the world, and trust is in yourself, if I haven't got it wrong. So faith is being willing to lean on the unknown and the unknowable. It's quite a remarkable thing. You will lean on something that's unknown and unknowable, that science has not proven, that nobody can give you a guarantee about. Wow, that's something. And confidence. Confidence that the world will be the world. The world is the world, and the world also has certain principles and there's a certain underlying physics to this world. And I can rely on these principles. For example, if I genuinely wish the best for everyone and everything, then even though there may be a few seemingly anomalies here and there, but actually in the long run and in the moment itself, the seeing the best in everyone and everything will lead to a very beautiful world. Yatha drishti tatha shrishti. And then finally, trust in oneself. You trust yourself to be yourself. You trust the reality of yourself, not the fantasy of yourself. The strangest thing happens. The strangest thing. You thought that unless you became more like that, you are forever broken. Turns out, it's the way you are. That's the blessing. Beautiful. One of my favorite stories. This man walks 5 kilometers every day with a stick on his shoulder, from which are suspended 2 earthen pots. He walks 5 kilometers, fills up both the pots, walks back home. Does it every single day. One of the pots has a slight crack in it. You could call it a crack pot. And every day, by the time he comes back home, 5 kilometers, half the water has already seeped away. So one day the crack pot speaks to the other pot and says, I'm so depressed. I'm so disheartened. What happened? The other pot says, my life is meaningless. I'm such a shame. I'm such an embarrassment. Our master walks 5 kilometers. In fact, he walks 10 kilometers, 5 kilometers one way, 5 kilometers another way. And I'm such a disgrace to him that every single day, half my water is lost. I'm a terrible pot. I'm a crackpot. And the other pot says, you have no idea what you're talking about. Let me show you something tomorrow. So the next day, as they're walking home, the pot speaks to the crackpot and says, look on my side of the road. What do you see? It's nothing. I just see, it's just on the side of the path. There's nothing there. Just the road and the path, and then there's nothing. Look on your side. What do you see? And there's a row of plants. There's a row of flowers. There's a entire row of beautiful plants, because every single day walking down that path, and in a way, this is the first case of drip irrigation known to mankind. This crackpot had revealed to the world drip irrigation, drop by drop, drop by drop. Beautiful row of flowers only on the right side. But the pot never saw that. It only saw the fact that it's a crackpot. It was missing the big picture. In the small picture, it was a failure because it was an embarrassment to its master. But in the bigger picture, it was a huge blessing. This is such a beautiful story because there are so many lessons here for us. What are the ways in which you have convinced yourself you're a crackpot? If only you didn't have this habit, if only you didn't have this pattern, if only you didn't have this attitude, this tendency, this laziness, this procrastination, this anger, this attachment, this postponing, this fill in the blanks. If only you didn't have that, then you see what an amazing life it would have been. How much you would have offered this world. If only I wasn't the youngest in the family. If only I wasn't, doubting myself so much. You fill in the blanks. I mean, you're the expert at this, right? You're the expert at all the ways in which you're a crackpot. And then you hear a pot like me tell you, listen, you have no idea what you're talking about. And you're quite skeptical. So yeah, Nithya, these stories are very cute. It doesn't apply in my case. So, so then you have to keep joining these night sessions again and again until you start to see little by little, your eyes will start opening up. Oh my goodness, there is a lot of beauty. There is a lot of beauty in my life. And I was completely oblivious to it. It was there, right in front of me, it was there. And I didn't see it. And I couldn't see it. How could I possibly see it? Because I was caught up in my self-valuing. Not enough, not enough, not enough. Just tune into that story for a moment. And since we are, as consciousness, we have capacity to experience anything. I want you to experience the way that crackpot felt. What did that crackpot feel in the precise moment it saw for the first time a row of beautiful plants and flowers extending for full 5 kilometers? What was the experience of the crackpot in that moment? Can you imagine the bliss? Can you imagine the ecstasy? Can you imagine the deep sense of, wow, all this time I was torturing myself. I didn't let a single moment go by without reminding myself how much of a failure I am. And here we are today. It turns out my biggest failure was my biggest strength. I have invented drip irrigation for the world. And you're allowing yourself to feel what the crackpot felt. You're just allowing yourself to feel that, even for a micro moment. That is enough to now forever compromise your ability to really believe deep down that you're a crackpot, that something's wrong. Or even if you are a crackpot, that if that is a problem, it doesn't have to be a problem. Everything has a crack in it. That's what lets the light in, says Leonard Cohen. Everything has a crack in it. Krakatoa. So can you surrender to your present understanding of surrender? Can you surrender to your present capacity to surrender? It's the opposite of the controlling mindset. There's this, one of my favorite posts I saw years back. I saw this post on Facebook, which went like this. There was a bench by the side of an ocean, and the saying, the line on it said, another line on it written there. So it said, relax, nothing is under control. Relax, nothing is under control. Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche says, the bad news is that we're all falling with nothing to hold on to. We're all falling without a parachute, nothing to hold on to. This is the bad news. The good news, there's no ground. The good news is that there's no ground. What if I gave you the reassurance, ironclad money back guarantee reassurance, that what you're most afraid of, what can you think of that you're most afraid of? Like, I think for me, something that I would be most afraid of would be, I think something like being like completely losing my faculties, my mental faculty. Like suppose I'm in an old age home, and the last 20 years of my life, I have no clue who I am, where I am. I forget everything. That's a little scary. And the reassurance I'm giving everyone, including myself, is, what if I told you that what you're most afraid of far from being something to be afraid of, that's actually that's going to be the medicine. That's going to be the medicine. The most powerful medicine of your salvation is going to come from what you're most afraid of. The simpler way of saying that is, reality is kinder than the stories we tell. Reality is much kinder than the stories we tell. So bring it on. Bring it on. So one of the ways to come to a place of surrender is to recognize that seeing is happening by itself. The objects that we see are also there by themselves. They've self-organized themselves. Hearing is happening by itself. The things we hear have also self-organized themselves. Same with smell, smelling and the things we smell. Taste, tasting and the things we taste. Touch, touching and the things we touch. You know, I'm saying it very quickly, but these are profound things. What I'm saying is really profound. Do you notice that? That you're not deciding seeing. The apparatus of seeing has come through millions, maybe billions of years of evolution. You did not decide to see. The universe decided to see. Millions and billions of years of evolution leads to the capacity to see. You have not constructed your eyes. Eyes have constructed themselves. And what you see? Oh no, I organized my house. Oh, really? But did you organize everything that's in your house? Everything that where it came from? And what would be the color of this and the color of that and the shape of this and the shape of that? Did you really organize everything? In every moment of your day, are you organizing what you're seeing? Every time you move your head left, have you pre-organized what you will see on the left? Have you pre-organized what you'll see on the right and above and below? So seeing is happening by itself. And what you see is also self-organizing. And your perceptions, you never know. You see someone, oh, I like this person. I want to be friends with this person. Forget friends, I want to marry this person. Really? Where did that thought come from? Did you decide that thought? Did the thought decide itself? Sometimes you can be very attracted to people who are actually not that attractive to others. And sometimes who the whole world considers very, very attractive, you find them not that attractive. The whole world considers them attractive, but for you, they're not attractive. So who's deciding this? Who's organizing? Who's organizing seeing? Who's organizing what is seen? Who's organizing how it lands? Like it, don't like it, want it, don't want it. Thoughts around it. And same with hearing. Did you come up with this capacity to hear? Did you design the shape of the ears? And what you are going to hear? Sometimes they tell me, Nithya, you speak too fast. I don't remember deciding the setting of the speed of the speech. I don't remember deciding that. That's just the speed at which it is. Is it fast? Is it slow? I don't know. So systematically look at this, right? Seeing is happening. What is seen, how it lands. Hearing is happening. What is heard, how it lands. Smelling is happening. What is smelled, how it lands. Why does frankincense smell like frankincense? Why does sandalwood smell like sandalwood? Why does poop smell like poop? Why? It just is the way it is. You like it and you don't. Taste. Why does the carrot taste like carrot? Why does saffron taste like saffron? Did you really decide? Did you map out on your tongue which parts will be the sweet receptors, the savory receptors? I was surprised to find there's not a single taste bud on your tongue can taste chilies. Apparently, there's no taste bud for chilies. Oh, really? Then how do you taste the chili? Chili has a distinct taste. That's not a taste. That's burning. Turns out when you have chili, that's not a taste. That's a sensation of irritation and burning. There's no taste like spicy or chili. So the eyes are doing their eye thing. Seeing is happening by itself. Hearing is happening by itself. Smelling, tasting, touching. Everything you touch or is touched rather. Did you decide that let's make the entire body touch sensitive? And let's make some parts like the hands and the fingers more touch sensitive than other parts. Did you sit and decide this? Did you map out? And you also mapped out that some of us will be more ticklish than others. Did you decide that? So if you didn't decide that, and you're not deciding why velvet should feel a certain way and why corduroy should feel a certain way and why silk should feel a certain way and why breeze should feel a certain way on your face. If you didn't decide that, in the mind, do you have a good memory? Do you have an average memory? Do you remember things easily or not? Do you have a logical mind or an illogical mind? Are you emotional? which of the MBTI, Myers-Briggs type indicator, there are these 16 types. Which of them are you? Did you decide that? Enneagram, which of the 9 are you? Did you decide that? If you didn't decide that, or whatever your favorite personality type is, maybe some of you like the astrology thing, or I was born I'm Sagittarius, or I'm Aquarius, or I'm Cancer, or whatever. So if you didn't decide that, then why exactly are we so invested in this? Remind me why we're so invested. You've been plopped in the middle of something where you've not chosen any of the settings. Your capacity to control is next to zero. And still you have managed to believe that you're the controller. I mean, this is like, I would like to call this the 8th wonder of the world. I cannot think of a better 8th wonder of the world. I mean, every single moment your life is giving you evidence. Listen, dude, you're not in control. But you're very adamant. No, I am in control. I want to be in control. Achha. So, did you decide how good you would be at surrendering and trusting? Faith and confidence and trust. Did you decide that? Did you decide if you'd have a fixed mindset or growth mindset? You'd be a positive thinker or a sourpuss? Did you decide these things? If you didn't decide these things, then why are you taking them so personally? Why are you taking it so tightly? So can you surrender to your present ability to surrender? Can you surrender to your inability to surrender? Can you not take this whole drama so seriously? So let me offer you a different paradigm from the control paradigm, right? See how this fits. So suppose you were to enter the paradigm of curiosity, paradigm of wonder. Wonder. Amazing. Never know what you'll see next. Never know what you'll hear next. Never know what you'll feel and smell and taste, touch next. Never know what you'll think next. Wonder. Never know. Never know. Often when I'm interviewed, these whatever group or TV or whatever they want to ask me, whatever group there is, whether it's a YouTube channel or it's a podcast or whatever, they say, Nithya, we'll send you the question, let us know. I said, no, I don't want to know the questions. No, but you can prepare. No, I don't want to be prepared. They find that quite strange. No, I don't want to know the questions. Surprise me. Because I want to see if you send me the questions beforehand and then I sit and prepare. So first of all, look how silly is this? I'm preparing. Why am I preparing? So I can give a good answer. Why am I giving a good answer? So I can impress you. Why do I want to impress you? I want to help you. Why do I want to help you? I think you need help. Oh, really? People need help. Where did you get that from? So many embedded assumptions over here. You need to have a good podcast. Oh, really? Why do you want to have a good podcast? So people like it, they'll come back. Or people have to keep coming back, is it? Yeah, they'll subscribe to it. They'll tell all their family and friends about it. Oh, really? So now we're all supposed to keep listening to you. You have one good podcast, and now we've become your lifelong customers. And we cannot brush our teeth without your podcast. We cannot drive our car without your podcast. Oh, so we have to really depend on your podcast now. We should never meditate. We should never take a walk in nature. We should just listen to your podcast. So so please don't give me the questions, because I don't want to prepare I don't want to prepare my answers. And I want to be surprised by what comes out of my mouth. I want to be surprised. I want to be shocked by what comes out of my mouth. I want to be okay giving really misguided answers. Really unsatisfactory answers. I want to disappoint you so badly, you never listen to a podcast again. When you're walking in the forest, you can just walk in the forest, not thinking, how many podcast episodes have I missed? So I want to offer you the paradigm of wonder, the paradigm of curiosity, the paradigm of openness, the paradigm of man chahi ho to acha, na ho to aur bhi acha. If I get what I want, that's good. If I don't get what I want, that's brilliant. That's amazing. That's astonishing. That means God really loves me. If my prayers don't get answered, that means prayers really work, because now something even better is going to happen. Something even better than what I asked for. It's like you asked for, on your birthday, you said, I'd like to have a remote control car. Your dad says, what remote control car? I'm going to get you a whole drone. Car can only go on certain servers. A drone can fly anywhere. You ask for a car, you got a drone. Wow. Better than I expected. So what if we were to have a 2-word prayer to the universe? 2-word prayer. By the way, I think I only teach spiritual warriors. The spiritual warriors by now might have disappeared. The spiritual warriors are going to have they're going to find much of what I say quite difficult. So spiritual warriors, the bring it on people, right? I think I've spent enough time, enough years trying to make what I share palatable to the so-called beginners. I think now enough of, I don't know how many, 600-700 talks that have been given. I don't know how many hundreds of workshops have been given, retreats have been given. So now enough has been done to, satisfy the beginners, kindergarten spirituality. So now let's move up. Now from this point onwards, let only the spiritual warriors turn up. And if spiritual warriors do turn up instantaneously, they shed, just like a snake sheds its skin, they shed the skin of a spiritual warrior and they awaken the spiritual warrior. So what's the 2-word prayer? Surprise me. Surprise me. Now the fun begins. Surprise me. You've allowed the universe to surprise you. But what if something bad happens? Surprise me. May not be so bad after all. A friend of mine has this I think he's learned it from Access Consciousness. They have this phrase, how does it get better than this? How does it get better? How does it get even better than this? Nice. How does it get even better than this? He's telling me how all of a sudden, it's not fully confirmed yet, but all of a sudden he gets a call from an aunt. I want to give you $10 million. You're joking. No, I'm serious. I want to give you $10 million. Get ready for it. Just $10 million. I mean, what fun. How does it get even better? So you see, now he's figuring out what the hell do I do with $10 million? He hasn't received it yet. It looks like it's actually coming, but just the fact that he's now thinking like, no, I don't even actually care if the money comes or not, but he's now thinking like a multimillionaire. He's thinking like a multimillionaire now. Because his aunt has said $10 million. You have to set up a company in your name. Why? Because you're about to receive $10 million. Surprise me. So instead of the usual of, oh, just make sure everyone's fine, family should be fine, job should be fine, health should be fine. There's actually a company in Pune where I live. If somebody asks you, how are you doing? How are you? If you answer fine, you have to pay a fine. They have a little jar over there. It's called the fine. Fine. You're fine. So 100 rupee fine. If you say fine, you can say anything else. You can say sad, you can say mad, you can say glad, but you can't say fine. Because fine means you're not thinking. You're just on autopilot. I'm fine. If you say you're fine, you got to pay a fine. No one's allowed to say fine. Surprise me. Make this ride the most fantastic ride ever. Make this ride the most fantastic ride ever. I surrender. I submit. As it is, I'm not doing a great job of controlling anything. Might as well surrender. Might as well trust. And there's no guarantee, by the way, that I'll trust and now things will go well. No, in the beginning or even later on, it may seem like it's all falling apart. So in other words, don't make this into a tactic. Oh, if I surrender, suddenly I'll get what I want. No, that's not how it works. You surrender, you'll get what you need. Not necessarily what you want. You're going to get good medicine. So of the many, 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 many ways of awakening the infinite beauty and goodness and power of who we are, awakening to that, the many, many, many ways. This might just be the sweetest, cleanest, most straightforward way. I give you my life. I give you my life. Surprise me. Surprise me. The beautiful quote I want to find out. Yeah, here it is. There we go. Hunter Thompson. Quote by Hunter S. Thompson. He says, life is not a journey. Life is not a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a well-preserved body. Life is not a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a well-preserved body, but rather to skid in broadside, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming, wow, what a ride. Life is not a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a well-preserved body, but rather to skid in, broadside means sideways, but rather to skid in sideways, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, loudly proclaiming, wow, what a ride. What a ride. Surprise me. Surprise me. Good stuff. So that is today's practice. The surrender your inability to surrender. Surrender to your present capacity or inability to surrender. Surrender to your lack of ability to understand what is surrender. Surrender to your dislike of the concept of surrender. Surrender to your liking the idea of surrender. Surrender to your fears that surrender might not actually work in your case. Surrender to the idea that you can use surrender to get what you want. I was just in my last session talking about the word wish has two meanings. In English, wish means, of course, something you want, you ask for, you wish for, aspire for, that's wish. But in Hindi, the word wish means poison. What are the chances they have such opposite meanings? I don't even know they are opposite, actually. So when you want something, that's a wish. The very wanting of it is a poison, because you assumed you don't have it. Somewhere you assume something's missing. Okay, so then you wish. And the wish is a poison. Why is it a poison? Because sooner or later, it'll reveal that it doesn't satisfy you. Even getting what you want doesn't satisfy you. So it's going to start poisoning the root. What is the root? This idea that I need the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. The next thing's going to do it. The next thing's finally going to do it. I'm almost there. The next thing's going to do it. So wish means two things. What you're asking for, what you're wanting. It also means a poison. So when you surrender, and you think you'll get what you want, you will actually, or you may, you'll get something far more profound. You're going to get a taste of what it is beyond all this wishing. My friend Padmaja talks about something called vish kanyas. Back in the day, this is fascinating, in India, there would be these young girls who were trained to be vish kanyas. So first of all, they take very attractive young girls who are likely to be quite beautiful as they grow up. And then they systematically train them, starting with a very small amount of poison. They introduce a very small amount of poison into the system. And of course, the body reacts, but the body recovers. It's a small poison. So then they slowly increase the dose. So over a period of many, many, many years, they have given poison to these girls, and their body has adapted to that poison. Body adapts, right? So these were called vish kanyas. And these were the master assassins. Why? Their body itself. So if they were to kiss you, there's so much poison in their body, you will die. Now, these are the next level. This is the ultimate assassination weapon because they don't have any physical weapons on them. And so when they go to a king, either as a courtesan or as a wife or whatever, that king is doomed. He wished for this beautiful, beautiful maiden. He didn't realize she's a vish kanya. Vish kanya. Her whole body is saturated with poison. But she looks healthy enough because she's been trained over 20 years to adapt to higher and higher levels of poison. What a fascinating, oops, sorry about that. What a fascinating thing. I mean, people have time to come up with all of this. Let's find the next level way of killing someone. So be careful what you wish for. You might just get a vish kanya. Better to be wishy-washy. Until now, you were judging yourself for being wishy-washy. That's my problem, Nithya. I don't know what I want. See, if you knew what you want, then you would have got it. And then you'd be in big trouble. Right now, you're fine. I don't know what I want. You're wishy-washy. I'm wishy-washy. You're good. Your wish is getting washed away. All the poison's getting washed away. Turns out the best thing to be is wishy-washy. Imagine your next resume that you submit. There's a question in the resume saying, so what are your strengths? I'm wishy-washy. It's actually the story of, I don't know if it's a true story, but it might be true. This girl fills out a college application form. And one of the questions in the college application form is, would you consider yourself a leader? Would you describe yourself as a leader? And if so, how, right? So she answers very honestly. She says, actually, no, I wouldn't consider myself a leader. And she filled out the rest of the application form and she sends it. And she honestly does not have very high hopes. She doesn't think she's going to get into this college. It's a pretty top level college. So she's shocked a few months later when she gets a big envelope and opens it to find the acceptance. She has been accepted into this prestigious university. So she's overjoyed and her entire family gathers around her. And in the envelope is a handwritten note by the dean of the university. The dean of the university has personally written her a note saying that we went through your application and we decided that this year, since we have 749 leaders, it would be appropriate that they had at least one follower. So she was accepted because she was honest. Who would have thought? Saying, I'm wishy-washy. We'll get you entrance into the top college. So SW, 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 SW. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. So surrender and enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. Use the 2-word prayer. SW. SW stands for some will. Some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. SW, 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 SW. I read it first in a book called The Aladdin Factor. Some will, some won't. All right. Great, everybody. Why don't you all take... My son also got an acceptance, but the same thing's written. Oh, well done. See, this is the way to go. New lessons on writing college application forms. All right. Take rest, everybody. Be well.